All right, hi guys, it's Fallen Lorelai. I know it's been a while since my last video, but you guys should expect that from me, I think, at this point. So I'm back in the RPG Maker community a little bit. I'm working on a game right now, and so the speed map that you see now is me attempting to make the town for this game that I'm making. All of the tile sets, well, the major tile set rather, is Celianna's Fantastic Buildings tile set, which a lot of people don't like because they're all pre-made buildings, but I thought the buildings were just so freaking cute. So I got the tile sets, and I'm trying my darn hardest to make this town here. Some of the tiles aren't really made for combining or even using these bridges here. I had to do a lot of edits, but in the end, I think it turned out okay. I might redo the town so it's not so pre-made, right? I didn't actually make these buildings. I just pasted them together in Photoshop, but we'll see. I don't know. I kind of like it. So yeah, I recorded this yesterday. So I made this town yesterday and then sped it up. I think this is at 400% or 350%. It took me about 2 hours, I think, so not too long. And then I just wanted to add like a narration on top of the video, which I've never done before. Normally I either live stream or I talk while I'm doing it, but yesterday I was in and out of my office, so that wouldn't have really worked. So yeah, I hope everyone's been doing okay. I'm sorry for my absences, but again, you know, I think you should expect that from me. I work a full-time job, and then there are some days I just don't do RPG Maker, and then I come back to it months later with a new plan, a new idea. So right now I'm making a crafting and shop management RPG that I'm kind of really excited about. I actually have finished the first chapter. There's 4 chapters, and it just feels like a lot more doable because it's kind of short and there's only this one main town. I don't know. I'm excited about it. But yeah, you can see me trying to get this to work the way I envisioned it. The perspective's a little off, right? I think these towers should have been further up if it's going to be connected to that railing there, that gate there. But what are you going to do? If you've seen my previous tutorials, you'll know that what I like to do is make the basic map in RPG Maker first before I import it into Photoshop. So I'm basically just pasting these buildings around what's already, you know, there, what the roads and the river that I already put in there. So it's a lot easier. Plus, I had an RTP version of this town before I even decided to parallax anything. So I knew what buildings that I needed and where to put them. So this is the inn, okay? I just didn't like how the first left building that you see kind of ended without any like ending. I don't know. So I was just pasting different buildings to see what would work. And I'm just not satisfied. They don't really hook together the way I wanted them to. But power of Photoshop, I can get it to work. I think eventually I settle on something that looks okay. So the inn in my game, it's a crafting time management game. So there's going to be a day and night system. So if you find yourself at the town really late in the evening, you can always stay at the inn, and then you won't lose any progress later because you end up passing out at 2 a.m. like you do. So yeah, I figured out how to make it merge here. So I basically just added that roof there and I got it to work. I was so excited. And then I moved the inn down a little bit because right now it's on top of the water. Yeah, and I wanted to hide that door. There we go. All done. So yeah, I move it down so it's not on top of the water, but I think even now the perspective's still a little off. And the challenge with these buildings was making sure that the doors aligned to the grid like perfectly so that when you put in the events, the door event aligns with the parallax with the background there. Okay, and now I'm making the general store, which again, it's not that exciting or interesting. I'm basically just copy pasting these pre-made buildings. I don't think I even do anything with this general store. I leave it the way it is. Oh, okay, all right, fair enough. I try splicing together two different buildings, but in the end, I didn't. So what are you gonna do? Now I'm going through my first seed material tile sets. I grabbed a bridge that I like, and it takes a while for me to align it the way I need to. But it works out in the end. So that there is just like the town circle. That's where everyone's going to congregate once I add NPCs. And I try adding another bridge there. That doesn't work. So forget that. And then eventually I'm going to add a bridge up north. Sorry, spoiler. All right, now the Carpenter Shop. This carpenter guy is a big deal in chapter 1. So this is one of the decks, I guess, that I wanted to make functional. So I'm thinking maybe in the original tile set, it just wasn't. Luckily, it's sized okay, that you can see that the character would be able to walk up those stairs. But you'll see later. It's just not. I don't think it was meant to be functional. But I make it work. It's not perfect. And later, I think I'm going to have to fix it even more, like based off of what it is now. But I think it's fine, honestly. At least it's pretty, you know. That's what really matters. So it takes me a while to align all of these railings. And then I have to align it even more so that the actual stairs aren't being cut off by the character. And it's just a mess. Just wait until I have to add the overlay also. That was fun. The overlay of the railings so that you can walk across the deck behind the railing. There. Pretty. Good job, me. Oh, but I can't be satisfied. There. So watching this now, I see a lot of mistakes that I've made, but it doesn't matter, right? Nothing matters. No one's gonna know, except you guys. You guys will know. Yeah, and then I'm just messing with the signs. All right, and then I think, yeah, the next one is the magic store, and this one was really easy. There was just a building that had like a magic book in front, so I pasted that. I was like, okay, done. There's a magic store. Oh, and then bring the bridge up. That's not a castle or a church. It's supposed to be a library, but that'll be obvious in the actual story. All right, now I'm putting in the doors. Just the door, like open doors, right? The door holes, I guess, to the buildings. And even these doors, I don't think were meant to be used. I don't know. I really like the tile set. So I'm happy with how it turned out. It was just a little complicated getting everything to work the way I wanted to. And so that's just the default like open door hole. So that when I put the gate in, it'll look okay, you know, and it'll still open like a regular gate. Here I am just trying to find freaking doors to use. So many. There we go. Good job, me. So I put the door hole in, the door frame. I'll just call it the door frame. And I realized it's cutting off the top there, so I'm adding an overlay, which I thought was pretty clever. I was pretty happy with myself there. So the door frame will be there, and the event will be there, but the event's going to be underneath that overlay. That thing. And then I do the same with the next door building. In my original RTP map, these buildings are connected but on different levels, and it's like a husband and wife who's the armorer and weaponsmith in the store. So I wanted to keep that theme. I wanted to make sure that they were together. And then when I Here I am trying to get rid of the door on this freaking tower, but I couldn't. It's going to be like 10 minutes of me trying to get rid of this door. But there weren't like any basic tiles that I could find, at least not that I had open. Maybe there were basic tiles in the extra folder. In the end, I'm happy with how it turned out, but it took a while to get there. This is, I don't know if it's obvious, but this is the first time I've used this tile set, and I wasn't even sure what existed, what I could use. And again, the perspective is driving me nuts. I really should have made it one tile lower. I can fix that after I do this. I'm gonna fix it. There we go. And then I just crop it. It's good enough. It's not perfect, but I'm satisfied. Oh yeah, and there's that weird white thing at the bottom there. Okay. And again, you can really only tell that it looks weird if you're like squinting at it, if you look really close, or if you're watching this video and you see that I was having trouble with it. Yeah, so then I have to move the entire inn over just to get the door frame to fit in. But luckily I put all of the buildings in their own folders, so it was easy to move things the way I needed to. Like this guy just needed to move down a tiny bit. So you can see myself working through the folders in the layers panel there to get everything to work right. Holy doors. This is serious. Yeah, and the magic shop. Pretty simple. Simple stuff. This one was a little more challenging. Especially later. Not necessarily the door, but just making sure everything aligned right. Because again, I don't think the deck was meant to be used. All right, and now I'm just filling in the map with etc. houses, and these are houses that the player isn't meant to go inside. It's just to make the town more full. And so I'll have like events that say the door is locked. Like this is someone's house, you know, you can just come into this person's house. So just, you know, making it look interesting. And then this house, I end up putting back there to add a little more depth. It was a little challenging because of the perspective and the water and making sure that the house looked normal. But in the end, I think it turned out okay. It's not, you know, making towns is a huge weak spot for me. Making them look lively, interesting, functional, and, you know, user-friendly. Because the player is going to be spending a lot of time in these towns, so you don't want them to suck. That's actually a major reason why I'm using these like pre-made buildings, because they're really pretty, and I don't know, because the player is going to spend a lot of time here. I think it's important to make sure it's visually interesting. I started adding lights. And then while I'm adding the lights, I realized that if I'm going to add lights, I'm going to have to add like a lighting plugin, like Terex lighting. And I wasn't really interested in doing that because if I had to do it on the town map, then I'd have to do the lighting on other maps. And, you know, maybe I'll add the lighting for my other maps later. But right now, it's not really necessary. It's more like a stretch. Like I can add lighting effects later. I do have shadows and stuff with the parallax in some of my buildings, but I don't have any of that animated light. Sometimes I think it's just too much. I think the animated light looks gorgeous, but not entirely necessary. So now I'm starting to branch out into other tile sets. So I've got Candace here. She has a nice variety of town tiles. So it's just to make the town look a little more lived in, I guess. And a lot of people might complain that The tiles don't match, but I don't care. I don't care. I think that's such a waste of energy to really care about tile set, the arts matching. I mean, obviously there are exceptions. You can't match or put the DS resources in with painted RTP style. That's gonna look really weird. But if they're all the painted style, I don't see what the big deal is mixing and matching these tile sets. I was having a huge creative block. Normally I'm really good, I think I'm really good at adding like stuff to the map to make it pop and interesting and fun. But I think because I was just painting these buildings on, or pasting these buildings on, I wasn't exercising my creativity. So I was just stuck. I had no idea what to do here. And in the end, I kept telling myself, I don't want to make it too cluttered. That's a problem that I have, a weakness that I have, is sometimes I just make my maps way too cluttered. And the user doesn't know what to even look at. So in the end, oh yeah, I forgot some signs. It's very important. You need to have signs. But in the end, I think I just settled on adding trees and plants, and then that was it. For this place. Try and add flowers, vines. The vines ended up working out pretty well. It's not very interesting from here on out. I'm basically pasting, man, I'm like mesmerized watching watching my cursor fly across the screen with these plants. But it gets more boring. Look forward to that. So these plants are from the first seed material towns, I think. I'm gonna have to put together a big credits sheet of all the graphics that I use, but luckily I labeled them when I saved them. And a lot of these are from the store, the Steam store. Oh, gotta listen to my music. If you've seen my parallax tutorials, you'll know I call this the foliage layer, but I end up renaming it to flowers. Just making it look nice. Bushes. You don't want too many bushes because that restricts where the user can walk. So sometimes it's helpful, right? I end up moving those bushes at the top there all the way over to the edge of the gate there, to make sure the user can't walk there. Not that I have a problem with them walking close to the fence, but it didn't look right when I was setting the region restrictions. That's like the story of this map, is it didn't look right. Is the number one issue I had with it. Nothing really looked right. So I guess I can talk about my game a little bit while we're watching this foliage and stuff. So it's a crafting and shop management RPG. The title of the game is called Evie's Enchanted Emporium. And the inspiration I got from this game was my need to play magical farming RPGs, like, oh my gosh, Rune Factory. But the Nintendo Direct came out the other day. Sorry, I'm going off topic here. And they're putting Rune Factory 4 on the Switch, and I'm so excited. And Rune Factory 5 is in development, and I seriously teared up realizing that it was in development. I didn't think this day would come. But and those barrels that I put up there a few minutes ago, they don't match the Fantastic Buildings at all. So you'll see the Fantastic Buildings has barrels, and then I put different style barrels outside. I think I might remove those. I know I just said who cares about the art style, but at this point I think it's a little distracting. I'm keeping the barrels for now because, you know, barrels come in so many shapes and sizes. So I think it's not a huge deal that the barrels are different colors and styles in this map, but I think it might get a little distracting and maybe doesn't look very professional or polished. So I might get rid of those, but we'll see. We'll see. Anyway, about my game, it's not a farming role-playing game because I thought farming was just way too much and not really necessary. So it's just like a crafting RPG with a shop management feature. That's probably my favorite part of the game is the shop management. You basically craft items, it doesn't matter what. Like I've got like a jewelry box you can craft, or like a bundle of arrows you can craft, and then armor, of course, and weapons, and you can craft them and put them up in your shop. And I programmed it so it's using Yenfly's common event menus. So you search through all of your items and you put whatever you want to sell on the counter, and it'll pop up with the price of the item. And then you can open the shop and then you wait while NPCs come in and purchase your crap. And it's pretty fun because I had it programmed so that it's like a random number of NPCs. So some days you might get like just one guy come in, and then some days you might get all 6. So in chapter 1, there's only 6 shelves that you can sell items on. But as the chapters progress, I'm thinking of unlocking more counters, like 3 more counters. So I like the game. I'm not sure, you know, what I'm going to do with it, if it's going to be like a commercial game. I've never done that before. Or if I'm just going to put it on the internet and say, have at it. Have fun. But it's still an RPG, so there's still fighting. You have to fight monsters to get ingredients for the items. But the main like story quests and all of that is based around crafting. And I'm just excited that I got as far as finishing chapter 1. Like there's an actual boss, you guys. Like I put in an actual boss. I don't normally get that far in games. I'll like give up. All right, it's looking better, I think. So my goal was, because all of the buildings are just pasted over from the Fantastic Buildings tile set, I was thinking maybe if I added plants and whatever to the map, it'll give it that new feeling. So what you just saw there was a skip ahead. I had to put the leaves on those forested material of forest trees, which took like an hour to do. It was seriously the bane of my existence, was putting those leaves on those trees. So I did not record that. I did not suscept you guys to that terror. I'm just adding pretty stuff to the floors here. Even though the user can't even walk up here, I'm doing it just because you know how it is. All right, let's put in some trees. Oh no. Everything's all messed up. There we go. And again, the user can't walk back there, but still, you never know. You never know what hacker is going to get back there and then yell at me for not having any trees. So I'm adding layer masks to make things a little easier for me, to add trees in the back there, or in the front, however you want to see it. So not necessary. Like I put so much effort into making the tree look natural back there, but I don't think the user can even get that far up on the map to see it. But whatever. That's fine. All right, I think that I'm almost done. And we can start getting to the super boring part of saving it into layers. Come on, girl. It looks fine. Finish. You're done. Okay, yeah, I think I'm making the overlay layer now. So in my previous tutorials or videos, I'm using like a different parallax plugin each time. My first tutorial was using the bind pictures to map, and then the second one was using cows, and there was like drama with that guy. That was like 2 years ago. So we can't use that plugin anymore. Then I was using orange overlay, and when I came back from my big break now, actually for these maps, I needed to find a parallax plugin, and orange wasn't working for me. It was really frustrating. So I Googled and I found another one. I found, I think it's called Dr. Doom's parallax like utility. And it works perfect. And fingers crossed that this one stays around. Maybe I can update my videos so that it's a little more relevant with what plugin to use. Also here, I'm going to be using a different kind of region restriction. So before, I'm always using Yanfly's region restrictions plugin, which I still use, but I'm also using a different kind of parallax tile sets. So I spent a lot of time here highlighting where the learner or the user, excuse me, can walk, but I end up deleting all of this. Such a mess. I end up deleting everything that I did and just going layer by layer. Like I end up making all the trees just its own overlay instead of copying out the trees. It is what it is. And it takes forever for Photoshop to save these maps. So you'll see that I'll just get stuck on the Photoshop screen while it's saving. And I think it's because I was recording. You know, not only are they big files, but I was recording. Okay. All right, so you'll see that the pink there, I don't remember when I start actually using it, but those are my parallax tiles. It loaded, success. So pure pink, right, is you can walk. All right, and now I'm doing the fun little water highlight so that I can add in the water tiles to the map. This is in my first parallax tutorial where I add this water highlight overlay thing. It's not that complicated, it's just tedious. And I mess up a lot. But it's honestly been like a really long time since I've mapped this. Like this, I mean. Also mapped in RPG Maker or done anything in RPG Maker. It always takes me like a few tries to get things right. So yay, things are working out. I guess I forgot to record myself putting the pink everywhere, but what are you gonna do? Now I'm adding in the bridge overlay, because I didn't have that before. And that's just going to be, that's different than the other overlays because some of the overlays are above the character, but then the bridge has to be above the tile set, but below the character. So thank goodness like this plugin has that ability. It's actually really nice. I really like this plugin. So I add in the bridge, and there's still some issues. This is where region restrictions come in. Because I end up making the water. Of course, you can't pass through the water, so I have to fix that. And then I have to fix the bridges to allow access. You can walk through it. But here like I said, I'm still, trying to remember how to do what I do. So I keep like brain farting of why this bridge isn't working the way it's supposed to. But I figured it out. I got it. Not a problem. But it takes me like so many tries to get the bridge to work. Yeah, and then I set off the movement for the water. That was important. And then I add in this water overlay. And like, I didn't even want to record this part because I was making so many mistakes. But that's fine, right? Everyone makes mistakes. Even Lorelai's. I also make mistakes. So it's just me like trying different things and trying to remember like how to do certain things. And it ends up working, you know, so that's good. But then the things that don't work, I have to fix. It's not the end of the world, though. I think the most frustrating part was waiting for these big files to load. I don't know if you can see it in the lower left corner, but it shows the percentage of the loading. All right, this is where I use Yan flies. I have to see which region is walk through. So you can walk through the bridge because you can't walk through the water anymore. In this part, I couldn't remember what I was doing. It was just a mess, you guys. There we go. Fixed the regions. Yay, you can walk through it. Life is good. All right, and then I have to fix the water, and then I have to fix the deck part. And I'm just walking around, checking things out. Yeah, you can't even get that high up in the map. So all that effort I put into making things look nice up there just fell through. So now I'm making the overlay, the actual overlay. I don't know if you saw, but I deleted all the other overlays, or I will soon. And I'm not bothering with the trees. I'm just making the trees its own layer. And normally I don't do that because when you make the tree its own parallax layer or overlay layer, the trunks get all messed up. You end up being able to walk underneath the trunk of the tree, which doesn't look right. So to get around that, what you have to do is make sure that the tree is like 5 or 10 pixels up from the bottom of the grid so that you can, so that it doesn't look weird when you're walking by it. Okay, the fun part, making this freaking railing an overlay. This one actually was simple. It's the armor and weapon shop that took me my entire life. So I basically just copied the railing and deleted the stone in the middle, and I said, who cares, right? It's a little messy, but it's going to be on top of the player, and no one's going to notice how messy it is. There. And you can see that my tiles are set to different possibilities and movement. So it's not great. I have to fix that. I'm just not letting them walk back there. But it is what it is. All right, let's do this one. This was a nightmare. I end up getting it to work. But then I had to redo everything that I'm doing now because the way that the character walks on the grid, it didn't look good at all. Good enough, right? That's what I thought. Now I just get to clean it up a little bit with the layer masking. Right, this is fine. Let's see how it looks. Takes forever to save, so it takes forever for me to be able to test it. All right, there we go. And then I have to fix the staircase. And I grab it from that room because I have the same kind of like walking staircase thing. So I use events to make the character move diagonally. So it works, it doesn't look very pretty. And I'm a little frustrated about it. There we go. Yeah, see, look, I'm like falling underneath the railing there. So I have to fix it. Ugh. I'm sitting here at my computer just like, no. But I get the doors to fit. So the doors look good at least. At least the doors look good, you guys. All right. So I try different things and I end up just deleting everything and it looks okay now. I don't love it, but it is what it is. Yeah, I end up grabbing different stones to put underneath that extra space that I put there, and I make it look all messy on purpose because it would have been a lot of work to try to align the stone with the stone that's already there. So I just made it look like terrible, and then I'm trying to make that work, but it doesn't work. Nothing works. But you don't give up. That's the thing. You try things and it doesn't work, but you don't give up. Right. So again, I'm just moving the railing down so that when the user is walking, it doesn't look like they're gonna fall. I don't even know what that piece of wood is for. So yeah, I try like moving it down, the current overlay, but I end up just deleting it and restarting. Isn't this fun to watch? Especially since none of this even matters. I'm gonna delete it anyway. Because it ended up getting all blurry, and I didn't know why. Okay. Here, I'm just checking out the other maps that I made. Don't mind that. Very quick. I'm just banging my head against these freaking railings. The good news is it works out in the end. The bad news is you have to sit through it and watch me like suffer trying to get this to work. Good enough. I clean it up a little bit. But at this point, I'm just like, it's fine. This is fine. Who cares? No one's even gonna... Well, I take that back. A lot of people are gonna be like, this is terrible. You shouldn't be using this town. It's like, I know. But I wanted to. I thought it was pretty. I spent a lot of time on it, but that doesn't mean I have to use it, you know. Sunken cost fallacy. There. See, it's fine. This is fine. So I don't really know what else I do at this point. I fix a few things. There's still a few things I have to fix even now while I'm recording this. Oh, I realized that I saved without the foliage, and now I'm getting rid of the green on the tree or on the grass because it was cutting off the top of my character's head. And there's still a lot of things I need to fix with that. So this is just like a quick job. With layer masks, you're not actually deleting anything. You're just masking it. So it's easy to fix later. So it's just like a quick band-aid, I guess. But now the grass isn't cutting off her head, which is nice. I lowered the opacity of the building so it kind of looks like you can see the character walking behind the buildings. So I put it at 90%. I might lower it even more to maybe 80 or 70%. But you can kind of see her behind the buildings, and I think it looks kind of nice. And I think that's it. Oh yeah, I have to fix these leaves that I accidentally deleted. I had to add that tree there. And then the flowers and stuff are gone. But that looks like that's all I recorded. So here's the final map. I hope you guys liked it. Let me know if you have any questions. I still look at my comments, even though I'm not very active. And I love hearing what you guys have to say about things, and reading, you know, how much these videos helped you. I don't think this video would help you very much, but I thought it was fun anyway. All right, so I guess I will see you when I see you. Thanks, guys.